So welcome back to this fourth part of this tutorial about adding multi-languages to your game. So last time we see each other, I let you with the start function and set up all the variable about our localization manager. And right now in this tutorial, I will show you how you can load the JSON file. So let's do this. So last time we see the start function about attribution to language choose, the full name text, the full path, etc. And what we want to create, so for loading the JSON language data, what we want to do is just to use loaded data. So loaded data. Again, loaded data will corresponding to my localization data, so my class is here. And what we want to do is loaded data will be equal, and right now we'll use JSON utility. So what we want to create is JSON utility and dot from JSON. So we'll take from the JSON of localization data. So localization data. And what you want to ask is a string. So the string obviously will be the loaded JSON text. So maybe you notice it, but right now you can say, hey, but the loaded JSON text is empty. Yes, for sure it's empty. But don't worry, we will create another function. So right now, after we load the JSON text, what we want to do is use a dictionary. So we do underscore localization dictionary will be equal to, so we create a new dictionary, so new dictionary of string, and what we want to pass in parameter, it will be the loaded data. So loaded data, so loaded data dot item dot count. So basically here we just retrieve the number of item the array in our JSON is have. So maybe we got in the previous example we only have 2 items, so the size of the dictionary should be equal to 2. If you got more, it will be equal to 4, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 100, I don't know, but it will retrieve the size of your JSON file. Okay, so after we create the count of our dictionary, what we want to do is to attribute every key and every value to our dictionary. So what we want to do is, so loaded data dot item, and what we want to do is for each dot for each, and we will use a callback function. So item like this, and open the bracket. Okay, and what we want to create here, so the item, we want to try, and we want to try to have localization dictionary dot add the item dot key and the item dot value. So basically here we're trying to fill our dictionary with our key and value of our JSON file. So we want to try this. If it's not working, we just want to catch the error for the log. So catch exception. So exception, I think it's exception, yeah, sorry, exception E, and what we want to debug is debug.log error, and we want to debug E. All right, and yeah, do not forget this. Okay, so with this code, it's allow you to so I don't need this. With this code, it it's allow you to load the JSON, but the main part is how we can know if this string is not empty. So what we want to do here is create another function. So this function, let's put private void, and let's name it check. Oops, sorry, I don't know why it's do that. So check file exist. Okay, so load JSON language data will be not happy, but I will call this function at the beginning of the loaded data. And what we want to do before loading anything, we want to check. So we will do a yield return new wait until, and basically we will wait until something or some of the condition is respected. So our condition is the boolean is file found. So right now what I'm gonna do is so if I sum up everything, we enter the start function, we attributate our the path, the name, and the language choose, etc. We start the coroutine, and we is not going to true until this coroutine is end. So basically, he will try to load the language data. With our function check file exist, it will go on the check file exist, and after it will try to pass this condition. So if its file found equal to true, so it can do the rest of the thing. And until the file is not found, he will not go further. Okay, so let's do our check file exist function. So what we want to check is if file.exist, very easy, and file exist to string corresponding to the path. Hopefully, what we do, we already got a string for full path text file. And what we want to do in this text file, if we don't have, if the file is not existing, we want to, so basically we got two options here. So you can load the file from your URL, or you can copy your JSON file from the resource to the streaming asset. So right now, let's copy our file from the URL. So I will create another function for this. So let's private, and let's call it get URL. Oops, not fetch, but get URL file text. Okay. And I just want to call this function here. So we want to get the file text, and we need to create another function. So let's call this one enumerator. Copy file from the web, and it will take in parameter a string URL. And to make sure there's no error, right now we just put yield return null. Okay. So right now, if you didn't see the file during the check, what we want to do is just to get the file, get the URL for the file text is. And what we want to do is just to start the coroutine, copy file from web with URL. So make sure this URL and this URL are not the same. Again, this URL is this one. This is the main about this class, and this one is URL. So let's call it local URL to make no mistake. You can save this, and if you didn't find any file in this path, we call this function. Else, we just want to call another function. So let's create another function. I know it's a lot of function, but for me it's better to have a different function to do different stuff than the big code to do everything. It's just the way I code, but basically everything I did here, you can put it in one function, but I don't think it's elegant and I don't want to do this. Anyway, parentheses close. So let's create a private void load file content, and this will, as name refer, will load the file content. Okay, and let's call this here. So now let's be interested by the getURL file text. So this is a very easy function. What we want to create is a switch. So we want to switch between the language choose. So depending if it's EN, FR, etc., we want to switch on different case. So case 1 will be equal to local application .fr. So if you got the local application .fr, so if your system is on French, what we want to do is just say URL will be equal to your URL you put for your JSON file. Let's put break. So basically, let me show you my file right now. So I open the browser right now, and I just want to paste my my JSON file. And as you can see, I just put a JSON file on the GitLab, and right now I got this this raw URL. So make sure to, when you get the URL, it's a .txt file. I mean, it's not like a .html or .php or .anything. This should be a .txt file, because it will not work if you don't have your URL .txt, because we'll use a download handler from Unity, and you need to have a .txt file on your URL. So I will just add all my URL because I already got everything in place. Okay, so right now I'll retrieve all the all my URL. So everything is referring to my JSON in the Deutsch, in German, Spanish, English, French, and by default for sure in English. So as soon as we retrieve our URL file, what is interesting is we want to copy this file from the web to our local machine. So hopefully for us, we create a function, copy file from web. So what we want to do, so I just want to rename the string more, because local URL is not matching for me. So I will just rename it URL retrieve text. It will be much comprehensive. So what we want to do is use Unity web request, and so we want to create this variable www will be equal to Unity web request. So Unity web request dot get, and what we want to get our script, our URL. So we want to use the URL retrieve, okay? After that, we just want to do a YAL return www.sendRequest. So basically, this will allow me to know to send a request to retrieve our URL. And what we want to do is just to make a condition. So if www.is network error or www.is/http error, if for example you don't have network, or the URL did not matching, or this file does not exist, what we want to do, we just want to put a debug.log error, sorry, not log but log error, and let's log yeah, we can't access to file. Make sure you have internet connection or a link to a .txt file. Okay, and for the warning, so we want to debug.log warning, and I will show you this in the other video because I think this video will be much longer than I guess. What we want to warning, we try second attempt to copy file from the resources. And for copying file from resources, what we want to create, it's another function. So let's create it right now. So let's make it private. Private void copy file from resources. And we just want to call it right now. Sorry. Okay. All right. And what we want to do is YAL and break. So YAL break will allow me to break from our coroutine. So if the check is working fine, what we want to add in this function is loaded JSON text. So loaded, where is it? Loaded JSON text. Okay. Loaded JSON text will be equal to www.downloadHandler. And as you can see, we'll manage to get to download the file. And what we want to download is a txt file. So this is why it's important to the URL to retrieve a txt file. So as soon as it is download the file, what we want to do is just file dot write write all text, and where we want to write all text, we need the path and a content. So hopefully we got both of them. So the path will be full path text file, and the content, I think you guessed it, is the loaded JSON text. And the final step is to create again another function. I know it's a lot of function, but I'll already tell you this tutorial will be very long. Let's create another private just enumerator, and let's call it wait creation file. Okay, and just put a YAL return null right now for avoiding error. And what we want to do is just to call this function like this: start coroutine, wait creation file, wait creation file. And that will be it for the fourth part of this tutorial. Thanks for watching. So if content equal to like or user learned something equal to true, user should thumb up plus subscribe. Else, user should dislike but help me to improve. Thank you, and I catch you guys next time.